with me on that. So, welcome to In the Flow. It, this seemed an appropriate next step. We've gone from Jesus being driven into the desert to Jesus taking his first step of expressing who and what he is and the grace of the divine flowing through him in the temple in his hometown, and the simplicity with which he did that. And right after that, they call that the beginning of his ministry. And so there's a reason for that. Right after that, if you look through Matthew, Mark, or Luke, if you look through those Gospels, you will see a loosely tied together narrative that goes like this: miracle, miracle, call of a disciple, little rejection, miracle, 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 big teaching to big crowds, miracle, call of somebody else, miracle. It goes on like that. And in there is punctuated a little bit of adversity, 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 challenge, challenge. The crux of it, though, the current of it, is this flow of healing grace that's coming out of this person, that's coming through their mouth, coming through their touch, coming through their presence, coming through their prayer. That's the current that you get. And everything about this person, everything is situated through this flow of grace. So even when there's challenge or adversity, you'll notice that in these texts, that all arises as a concern, a doubt, or a standing against that healing flow. It's really rather simple. It's not a complicated situation. This person has stepped into a level of awakening, or is acting on a level of awakening, depending on your belief around this person, a level of awakening that there is nothing else but the flow. And I think this is significant to point out, because in our culture that is beautifully and yet somewhat confusingly focused on being the light, the New Age movement, and that is focused so much and has brought an understanding that we are light and we're meant to be light in the world, that we bring this whole series of assumptions of what that is supposed to look like. Well, if I'm in the light, I'm always going to feel good. If I'm in the light, I am always going to be performing miracles. If I am in the light, I am always going to be immune to adversity. And then when these contrary things come about, a lot of times in our culture, not always, and not assuming you do, oftentimes the question arises, what am I doing wrong? Or why am I not the light right now? What in me needs to be purified, right? That is oftentimes what happens. We see adversity, confusion, doubt in relation to the light that we are being. We see that as a sign that maybe something needs to be addressed. And maybe it does. I wholly know that oftentimes in myself there are things to be looked at when those sorts of things come about. But that's not the first place to go with that. As we come into being the light, there is something that falls away. There's not something that becomes stronger. There's something that actually falls away. And that is our grip as a self-reflecting being. So part of the process in awakening is developing this unique quality as a human being that we call our self-reflective nature. That is, that when something happens in our lives, or when we do something, or think something, or feel something, we can reflect back on it. That's a tremendous gift. And it might be even termed in many traditions and practices as the observer self. There is one observing the impermanence and the states that are happening within ourselves. And in the observation, there can be an investigation that sets us free. However, in the process of awakening, that too even loses its central point. Think of a time when you have been caught up in the beauty of being. There has been no self-reflection in that. There simply is, I am. I am. And ultimately, what I believe these texts in these Gospels are showing us, and that's the intent of the writer too, so I'm not making a theological assumption here. Ultimately, what we're experiencing is that this individual was an I am, had moved into a level of being in their flow that they simply were fully alive, fully acting, fully being love. And any response that they offered wasn't precipitated with lots of self-reflection. So when an adversity came up, there was a simplicity in the response. There was a seeing things as they are. There was that humility and that truth. That to me is being fully alive, not being such a mastery of our self-reflection that we feel strong in who we are, but that even that is lost. And in the losing of that, we are. But we cannot just will this. We have to go through the process. Hence the reason for doing things like this together. So let's begin today's meditation. Before we begin with one of my favorite texts, the Radiant Sutras. This is the little, pulls out the sutras. It's the small form. There's a great full book. If you don't have it already, I highly recommend it. Here's Sutra 86. Dreaming, dreaming, sleeping, awakening. Rhythms of darkness and light, day and night, night and day, wandering. Who am I? Who am I? Who is morphing through this ever-shifting flow? Beloved, wake up. Dance in your true body before time. Shimmering energy without end. I'm sure we can all relate to the who is morphing through this ever-shifting flow. But let's look where the call is there. It's in those last 3 lines. Beloved, wake up. Dance in your true body before time. It's as though time is an observer of you in your true body. Shimmering energy without end. So I invite you to close your eyes. And with the eyes closed, come into a place of gratitude for this physical, temporal journey you are taking, that you have the opportunity to be in a body. And in this gratitude, let your hands be cupped and place into your palms what you carry that is heavy, mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically. Place that within your hands. And now allow that, whatever that is, to transform into brilliant, shimmering energy. It could be a substance like gold, it could be shimmering light. Just let it transform before you in your mind's eye. And now let that shimmering object that is within your hands, let it vibrate or shimmer in such a way that you feel its beauty in your very hands and arms. And let that shimmering beauty, no need to understand what it is or what it isn't. No need to have a stance for or against. But let that shimmering beauty of the mystery move up your arms, into your chest and your heart. And acknowledge in silence that there is a sacred contract, if you will, that this little fragmentation of yourself is actually the pathway towards union with the divine. So, what seems separate is, in fact, the very entry point towards union, into union. There is a leading quality happening in this sacred contract. And now move your focus wholly towards your own being, towards the one that is present here in the experience. And see if you can shift ever so slightly into the quality of the one who is. You're shifting your focal point to be the one who is present, looking out on experience, the experiencer. And let this one, you can say it audibly or inaudibly, speak these words to consciousness itself, to the uncreated, the eternal. From the Song of Songs, let me see you. Let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet, and you are lovely. And again, let me see you. Let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet, and you are lovely. One last time. Let me see you. Let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet, and you are lovely. And we end this meditation with 3 ohms, the vibrational sounding of consciousness itself. Inviting in a breath. Again. One last time. And with that, I invite you to open your eyes to greet your day. As always, great to be with you.